live from Los Angeles.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. We start our show with breaking news out of the NBA's Board of Governors meeting. And with that, we say hello to our Shams Charania, who is on the case. Shams, we know the Board of Governors just voted on the first steps here towards expansion. What exactly did they decide?
Malika, all 30 NBA owners have unanimously voted in favor of the league exploring expansion, 2 new expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle. And so to put it plainly, now the bids will start rolling in, and there's an expectation around high-ranking officials that it's a matter of when, not if, the league expands. And so how this process plays out over the next several months, the league will accept bids for both markets, Las Vegas and Seattle. They've enlisted an investment bank to assist in the process as well. And bids are expected to be, I'm told, in the range of $7 to $10 billion per team. And then a second vote would be necessary by the end of 2026, depending on where the bids shake out at, to finalize and execute this expansion to 32 NBA teams. And that's all slated for the when of this all, which would be targeted for the 2028-2029 season, when both teams, Seattle and Las Vegas, would start play. And they would both be Western Conference teams, and that would mean one of Minnesota or Memphis likely moves to the East.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to potentially see a franchise moving here to the Eastern Conference, and we could see as soon as 28-29, that season, having 2 new franchises in the NBA. Shams, thank you very much. Moments ago, we heard from Adam Silver for the first time on this matter.
The discussion today and in the meetings leading up today went more to, all right, what are all the factors that we'll look at? And then ultimately, the view is you could explore expansion more softly by just having conversations, but certainly it was my view and others that we owe it to these markets to be transparent and to be more formal with our approach to that, so that everybody feels they have a fair shot. There's an investment banker, there's people at the league office working on this. And so if you are interested, and I'll say that now to people who may be listening or watching this, if you're interested, call the league office, call PJT Partners directly in New York. And just want to make sure everybody understands there's been no handshakes on the side, there's been no commitments, there's been no promises to anyone. This is a completely transparent process. Nothing is set in stone right now.
Dial 1-800-EXPANSION is essentially what Adam Silver is saying there as we welcome you inside our Los Angeles studio. Brian, if I'm a fan base of Seattle, of Las Vegas, how should I be feeling right now?
First off, if you have to call the switchboard,
it's too late. Okay. Dang it, Tim was so close.
Number 2, the Seattle Supersonics are coming back. This is definitely going forward. They would not have put the vote today unless they knew they were getting all 30 votes. It's been under process for about 5-6 years. Yeah. There's actually multiple competing bids in Las Vegas to build an arena already that had been in the process for years. There's the arena that they renovated in Seattle, which they finished that renovation 4 or 5 years ago, was designed to house the Sonics when they came back. This has been in the process for 4 or 5 years, and I would say it's accelerated over the last 6 to 9 months. There are already multiple groups that are prepared to make bids for these expansion teams. Now, whether or not they'll all come to fruition, whether or not we'll truly have multiple bidders at the price the NBA wants,
sure,
that's what we're going to do. But what Adam Silver just announced with those words in this vote was, ladies and gentlemen, if you want this team, start your engines.
Yeah, and this is obviously a day for a great fan base in Seattle to celebrate. You know, a fan base that will be built in Las Vegas to celebrate. A competitive bidding process. Also a competitive process, I think, for Memphis and Minnesota, because let me tell you, those teams
and New Orleans.
Yeah, those franchises want to be the ones that move these, just because the balance of the power in this league is so heavily shifted to the West. So that's going to be a very interesting facet of expansion.
And Perk, let me just cut you off real quick. And I know you know this. When the Oklahoma City Thunder moved to Oklahoma City, they left the Seattle Supersonics and their history behind. They never hung the 79 banner. They never hung the jerseys. All of that stuff is there. The Sonics will be recreated just like we saw the Charlotte Hornets essentially recreated after they left.
Absolutely.
You know what happened in 1963?
You were born?
No, I wasn't born. But Sam Cooke dropped the classic. It's been a long.
Are we singing? Oh, we're singing. Change gonna come?
A long time coming.
He's gonna hit the.
But I know.
Do I have to take my earpiece out?
Change
Oh, there it is.
What you expect? The game has went global. We're loaded with talent all across the world. I think this is just the start of expansion. And I see a lot of people out there, you know, doing a podcast on other shows that are downplaying the talent that we have in the basketball world. I'm here to say that you're wrong. I'm here to say that you need to go do your research, because what we have coming up the pipeline, forget what's in the NBA right now, what you having that's coming up through college basketball and high school, think about this freshman class and think about this draft class right now. It is full of franchise players, and it's going to continue to grow. Anthony Black has a little brother right now in Florida that's in high school that's going to be a franchise player. Marcus Spears Jr., his dad, Marcus Spears,
so you're
my
saying
big
the
brother.
criticism that there's not enough talent. You don't see the validity
more
there.
than enough talent. And guess
But
what?
that's not figuring in the decision. The decision is being figured in by the fact that they're going to get 7 to 10.
We know that.
Yeah,
We're
focus
worried about
on
26.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obvious, we know it's
Okay,
about
all right.
dollars.
As you were saying, Brian, and as Shams reported, as soon as the 2028-2029 season, we could be seeing 2 new franchises added. But what do we say we get to some of the 30 that are playing? Last night we got some action, right? Less than 25 days remain in the regular season. And the Cavaliers connection, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, on full display last night against the Magic. So let's check out some of the highlights here. I'm not sure how I feel about the orange warm-ups, but that's neither here nor there.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It is. Paolo Banchero hoping to stop a 5-game losing streak here for his Magic. Banchero backing down Harden, spins, gets that one to go, hits that jumper. And then midway through the first, Banchero gets it at the top of the key, knocks down the 3. 16 points here in the first for him. But then under 8 minutes left in the second, Harden, how many times have we seen him do this, Tim?
Hey, he pioneered that step back and changed the entire league.
And then once you see it once, guard that man. Final seconds here.
You're going to foul him if you're not careful.
Paolo Banchero visibly frustrated there after that foul. That was just a tough move there by James Harden. So let's go ahead here to the final seconds of the third quarter after this. Mitchell spinning his way into the paint. Brian, he gets this one to go.
Is that a sunrise or a sunset in the lane?
I like that. He is hyped after that one. Under 7 minutes left in the fourth here. Harden behind the back to Max Strus. Oh, the Strus is loose, baby. He hits the 3.
That was a crucial moment in the game, and he still threw that pass.
He's a showman. What can you say? He is the system.
Correct.
And then Mitchell, this is just a tough move by him. Really his signature, and gets the floater to go. Hyping up the crowd afterwards. Tough game.
Slide a step.
Final seconds of the fourth quarter here. Mitchell drives in the lane.
That was a crucial basket, too. How about that for analysis?
Finally, Donovan Mitchell looking like himself here, coming back after injury. 42 points in that one, and he recorded his third 35-point game against the Magic this season. And how about this? Only Michael Jordan has had more against Orlando in a single season in NBA history. But Perk, the Cavaliers, of course, that new wrinkle to their offense. James Harden, Donovan Mitchell together. Take us through what you saw last night that's a little bit different.
Well, Donovan Mitchell reminded us of who the hell he is. My apologies. First of all, hello, world, and happy Wednesday. But look, all the attention has been on James Harden and what he could do as a facilitator and how he's going to make the bigs and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen better. But he's also going to elevate the game of Donovan Mitchell, who, by the way, had a 42-piece wing dinner, all flats habanero style last night. And I want you to see this backcourt and see the IQ of James Harden. It wasn't the assist, but I love this action right here. Okay, you space the floor. You have one big on the floor, this guard-to-guard screen to get the mismatch. And now all of a sudden you have Paolo Banchero, who's pretty decent at sliding those puppies every now and then. But Donovan Mitchell then gets downhill, puts them in the blender, and finishes at the basket. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They go back to it. Now all of a sudden it's a mix-up on the communication. They don't switch. Donovan Mitchell is able to get to where he wants. He leads the NBA in floaters, and then that was part of his 42 points last night. Donovan Mitchell has never played with a guy like James Harden. And as we look at those numbers, second most in his career in all 3 categories this season. He has been playing at an all-NBA level.
And it looked a little bit different last night, right? James Harden set 7 on-ball screens for Donovan Mitchell. The rest of the time that he has been with Cleveland, he's only set 4. So I'm not necessarily saying we should expect this in the postseason, but right now, that's a positive that we're seeing for Cleveland. But Kenny Atkinson, he still had some critiques, even in a win. Afterwards, he said, quote, if we're going to play defense like this, that we are going to have a short playoff stint. So, Brian, how much of a concern is that side
As
of the
a
ball?
resident of Cavs Corner, I would believe that he said that.
Yeah.
Because this was an unserious approach to this game last night. Hey, it was a fun game to watch. Them and the Magic were running up and down the court. You don't win games in the playoffs 136, 132.
Sure.
This is what Kenny Atkinson has been saying. Over the last 15 games, the Cavs have been one of the best offensive teams in the league. James Harden has absolutely elevated their offense, but they've been one of the worst defensive teams. They're 21st in defense over the last 15 games. That is not the trend that you want to have as you go towards the postseason. And I think Kenny has been calling it out behind the scenes, and he decided after their 4th consecutive win that he wasn't happy about it to go in front of the scene.
He did it on our show when he joined us a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know what, our rebounding, in particular our defensive, our offensive rebounding rather, we need to clean that up. Now, is some of that not having Jared Allen? Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, and Jared Allen will be back soon, but when you bring in James Harden, like you said, you lift the offense up, but he's not a defensive-minded player. Donovan Mitchell, frankly, is not a defensive-minded player. They've got challenges, and I get, Kenny Atkinson saying, hey, that paint's going to be a sunset if we don't fix the defense. Now, I'll also point out, this was the 6th straight loss for the Orlando Magic. This is a team that had high expectations after making a massive splash of a trade to get Desmond Bane in there this summer, and it has been a disappointing season. If that trend doesn't reverse itself, it has a chance to be a summer of significant change.
No, I'm with you 1,000%, and it's all going to fall to me on the back of Paolo Banchero. Can he sustain that all-NBA level play that he's been showing over the last month or so? But I want to go back to the Cavs real quick, because Kenny Atkinson is right. And when I always look at the great or good defensive teams, it always starts in the interior. It always starts with the big man. It starts with your former Defensive Player of the Year in Evan Mobley, which is why he is still the most important player on that team if they're trying to get to the promised land. And he can elevate his game even more. If you're lacking on the perimeter as far as your defensive guys, you should be able to cover it up as far as your interior. Evan Mobley is too gifted, too talented, too mobile not to be able to be somewhat on Victor Wembanyama type status defensively. He won Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. He's 7-1. He should have some type of real impact close to Victor. I know they're saying a lot.
Jared Allen not going to play tonight.
Okay.
Back-to-back against Miami with his 10th straight game with knee tendonitis. I think they are targeting Friday.
Yeah.
They'll play Miami again. So maybe a reinforcements perk coming by the end of the week.
And I get you on that, but it's going to be a lot of times in this postseason, Malika, that they're not going to roll with that double big lineup. It's going to be Evan Mobley at that center spot, and he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He's got to be able to hold it down without Jared Allen being on the floor.
Well, Kenny Atkinson did say after the game that Jared Allen is ramping up, so Friday would fit within that ramping up timeline there. We're also ramping up to some more March Madness here. The Madness resumes tomorrow, Perk. So
it's March Madness has hit its peak.
It is hard to believe you could fit a ruby slipper on the foot of a 10th seed. Oh, what a spectacular move by Stephen Curry. Curry with 31 on the Wildcats of Davidson will dance all the way to the Elite Eight.
Remember babyface Steph making that incredible run with Davidson? Well, the March memories, they continue tomorrow night. The Sweet 16, it'll tip off in San Jose and in Houston. Now, for anyone needing to take a little stock here, the Big Ten has the most teams still dancing, 6 of the remaining 16 teams in the field. That's followed by the SEC with 4 and the Big 12 with 3. And yes, teams are changing conferences all the time, but still, those are the numbers. You know what else is sweet? It's that we have Sean Farnham 2 days in a row, back-to-back. What's going on here?
I'm the back-to-back B block of the show.
You're the back-to-back B block of the show, but you are A's in our heart. All right, the Big Ten, they are the big winners of the weekend, but do you think that the champ is going to be coming out of the conference?
Yeah, look at the Big Ten. They haven't had a national championship since 2000. That was Michigan State that won the title that year.
Right.
The drought out west has been even longer and drier. 1997, the last national champion from the West region of the United States. That was Arizona. I think this is a team that is as complete as any team in the country. Their chemistry, their connectivity has been outstanding all season long. don't see that changing this weekend.
Oh, see, and you're not just saying that because you want to get in the A block of the show, but he is saying that my bracket maybe is looking a little correct then. All right, well, the field of 16, it is whittled down, but our NBA audience is learning a couple of new names or looking at, okay, who could be a riser on the draft board here? We've talked a couple already throughout the week, but who do you got for us today?
Yeah, look, it's easy to fall in love with the stars, and we'll get to some of those stars in just a second, but there's other guys that have proven their worth and are going to hear their name called late lottery or in those mid-teen areas of the first round of this NBA draft come June. And let's start with Malik Thomas.
Great name.
From Arkansas. He is the Robin to the Batman that is Darius Acuff, and he has been phenomenal in the first couple of rounds of this NCAA tournament. Had 20-plus points and 5-plus assists in that opening round matchup. They are going to need him against Arizona to really stand out and play well. And then there's Chris Sinak from Houston. You talk about this Houston team. This is a young guy that can stretch you from the outside with great size, but the biggest key for him is he's got to rebound the ball at an elite level clip. He has been challenged. When you sign up to play for Kelvin Sampson, you're saying, coach me hard, make me better. He has grown throughout the course of the year, had 18 rebounds in their opening round game.
Yeah, but you mentioned he can stretch the floor, and in the NBA, that is something that teams, certainly from a big guy, they're going to be looking for. All right, so we got 16 teams left, as we can see here. A couple of top draft prospects are already out, so that leaves me wondering, well, who could we be looking at here? Who could make the cut? And usually here, Sean, we got a big Perks
I need the big
list.
fella to get out of the chair and come on over here. So, Big Perk has got to come on over here for this.
Oh, he's running. I don't know if he's done that since 2000.
All right, so I've been told that Big Perk's list is a big, big deal. And I am totally copyright infringing on this thing with Farnham's Focus. So let me get the lines down right.
I like your energy.
Hello, America. How you doing today? Now, the rules are very simple. You do not speak unless you are spoken to on the Farnham Focus. Okay. I've been told that's how this goes, right? Okay, good. All right, so 5 players that you got to watch in the Sweet 16. Malika, go ahead and do the first one. Deliver it hard, just like you would for him.
Bam!
All right, bam! All right, so here's what we're looking at here. Wait, hold on. He's not a freshman. He's a senior. Yeah, you know what? We talk so much about the freshmen. Why can't we give love to some of the seniors? He was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Went through the Combine last year. Could have been maybe a late first-round pick. He transferred from UAB to Michigan. Yaxel Lenneborg has been outstanding in this NCAA tournament. 25 points, 6 rebounds in the last meeting that they had against St. Louis. Go ahead, sir.
Perk's agile today.
All right, let's go. Let's go to a freshman. Now, we don't see freshmen lead teams to a national championship very often. In fact, the last time we saw it was Jahlil Okafor back in 2015.
Wow.
But Braden Burries can be one of those guys. We talk about Arizona not being able to shoot the three-point shot. All he's done in the first 2 rounds is go 7 of 8 from deep, averaging 17 points and 7 rebounds. Malika, go ahead.
All right, since Perk's like getting his little hop over there. Bam!
Yeah.
All right, here's a guy. Wait, hold on. When I looked at the ESPN Top 100 last year, I didn't see this man's name. You know why? Because he chose the right school, went to Illinois, and under Brad Underwood, Keaton Wagler, 6'6", has been absolutely phenomenal. He is a dead-eye shooter from beyond the arc, averaging over 16 points per game. You're talking about a team that has to go try to beat Houston. Keaton Wagler's going to have a huge game for the Illini. You know what to do, Big Perk.
Bam! Put it up there.
All right, so this is Cam Boozer. He's at 2?
He's amazing.
How is he at 2 right now? When you think about Duke and how good they are, listen, 21-12 in the first 2 rounds. He has to take care of the ball. They have to get him going, though, in the first half. Malika, you and I were talking about this yesterday. His numbers have been great in the second half of games, but he has to apply pressure to Zuby Ejiofor, who's been on one since they lost to UConn. If he can get Ejiofor in a couple of early fouls, that helps the Duke Blue Devils move forward and get 1 step closer to the Final Four. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Bam!
Put it up there.
There's no doubt, Big Perk, you're talking about your guy, Darius Acuff Jr. Now, this guy's averaging 30 points per game, 6.5 assists per game, shooting 46% from beyond the arc so far in this NCAA tournament. They have the Arizona Wildcats coming up. Big Perk, I'm going to ask you a question. How good defensively is Jaden Bradley?
One of the best in the country.
Okay.
Senior that's standing on business, and it's not just Bradley, it's overall the entire team. And by the way, the head coach for Arizona actually coached Darius Acuff Jr. in USA basketball. I'm pretty sure he's going to have his game plan.
So the game plan's going to be ready if Arkansas is going to have this Kemba Walker type run by a dude that's been doing it so far. He's going to have to get off and get going early in that game. I may not be Big Perk, but I hope I lived up to the hype.
That was a good big list.
You got A+.
right.
Everything across the board, the delivery, the list, the interaction, and I love how you set your rules from the jump. You stood on business.
That sounds like you're invited back to me. So we'll see you again tomorrow. Welcome in a very special guest analyst to our show. Joining us for the rest of the week, it is NBA champion Jeremy Lin.
Well, look at that jacket.
It is a jacket. It is a fit for a champion and fit for our newest guest analyst. Joining us for the rest of the week, Jeremy, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited.
Brother.
Don't worry, Perk doesn't bite.
I want it's stuff for food.
We are so excited to have you talking hoops with us for the rest of the week. We were chatting a little bit before the show, and I said, well, how do you want to get into it? He said, I want to talk about basketball. So let's do it. Let's get straight to it. We're going to go coast to coast, get caught up on the action from around the NBA. And we're going to start here with Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. He had 23 points, 17 rebounds, tied a season-high 17 assists to lead the Nuggets over the Suns. Denver back and forth, 1.5 games behind the Lakers. Parker, folks sleeping on them.
I wouldn't say sleeping on them. I think they're finally getting healthy, and they still have to show the world that they're ready to compete with the two top dogs in Oklahoma City and the San Antonio Spurs, because both of those two teams are standing on business right now.
On to New York, Mr. Perkins. That's for Big Body Brunson. He scored 32 points. Karl Anthony Towns added his 4th straight 20-point, 10-rebound game as a member of the Knicks. Jeremy, you authored in Linsanity there. You played in New York. How different is that than any other arena?
It's definitely different. I think, you can walk away with 2 stories. One, it's amazing to be here. I love the energy. Or 2, the fans are annoying, or the media, they always twist my words. And so it's all about keeping the positive energy.
You got to keep the main thing, especially when you are in New York City. That's absolutely right. Next up, the Buzz City Killers. They stung the Kings with 26 three-pointers last night. Charlotte improved to 22-6 since January the 22nd. That's the second best win percentage in the NBA over that span, behind only San Antonio. Tim, what's making this team so dangerous?
I mean, this is one of the most entertaining teams in the league, and they have a clear identity. They run and they gun. LaMelo Ball running the show, surrounded by Shooter Khan, Knipple, Brandon Miller playing up to their draft stock. And I wouldn't want to see these guys in the first round.
Me either.
That's the action that happened last night. But how about tonight? Something has to give, because you got the Thunder, the top-ranked defense, visiting the Celtics and their second-ranked offense here. So off the strength of these numbers, these two teams have the shortest odds to win the title. That's according to DraftKings Sportsbook. And that high-powered Celtics offense, it's going to get tested tonight. They continue to adjust to having Jason Tatum back in the lineup here, Jeremy. And you've suffered significant injury in your career. The fact that Jason Tatum has come back in this way, what have you learned about him?
The mentality. Anytime you're coming back from a huge injury, it's all about mentality. For me, I see him. First off, he's playing 30 minutes a night, which I wasn't expecting, but he's shooting more shots per minute of his whole career. He's averaging a career high in rebounds in 6 to 7 minutes less than he normally plays. And so I think the mentality that he has of just attacking and being himself versus being gun shy or trying to ease in, I think that's the biggest difference that I see. So honestly, I think we should study how he's been recovering from this injury and his mindset of coming back.
And the crazy thing to me, people are looking at his shooting percentages. He is 2 weeks into a return after a 10-month rehab from an Achilles. You're going to need your kind of guy's shooting percentages. The fact that he's out there, that he's moving pretty well, like, you don't need to give a 2-week progress report. He doesn't need to be Jason Tatum that we're used to in March. He doesn't need to be that guy even, frankly, in April. They need him as close to himself in May and beyond if they're going to make that kind of run.
I know the camera was on me. I wasn't texting anybody. I was actually Googling something, because tonight is one of those nights that the Celtics need to make a statement. Like, this is one of those moments they need to make a statement. They are, 5-1 against the Thunder, 5-1 in their last 6 meetings. At some point, you got to make a statement to the champs. I believe the Celtics should be the favorite coming out of the Eastern Conference. Tim, Jeremy, I'm with you. People are looking at his shooting percentages, and people are questioning, has Jason Tatum messed up the offense to Joe Mazzulla, which is an asinine thing to say. It has been the same system for the last 2 or 3 years, even when they won a championship.
Yeah.
It takes 10 to 15 games just for a guy to get his legs up under him in his rhythm. But what he's been doing in other categories, rebounding, assisting, being out there on the floor, the fact that he's playing 30 minutes a game is enough in itself.
I do think, though, it's going to be an interesting matchup for Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics tonight, right? Because the last time that these two teams met, Jason Tatum didn't play. J-Dub didn't play either. So J-Dub may be on Tatum. I know usually that's a torture chamber job. But tonight, we maybe see having Dort on Jaylen Brown and how maybe that could shake things up. But on the other side, for the Thunder, they've won 12 straight games. They've won 7 straight on the road here. Perk, how do you assess that?
I mean, they still have the deepest roster in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, Jared McCain should be a starter in the league. Like, think about that for a second. He had, 26 the other night in Philly. And it's like you don't never know where they're going to cut you at. They'll cut you everywhere but loose. And I'm going to say this. It's a lot of pressure on SGA.
Tonight?
For the remaining of the season. His level of play got to stay high if he's trying to go win that MVP award. I heard Victor Wembanyama comments. I've been watching the play of Wemby. I see what Luka is doing. So this rest part of the season, yes, it's about continue to keep that #1 seed and continue to build, but it's also about SGA individual and keeping that MVP trophy in Oklahoma City.
I got bad news for the rest of the league. You mentioned OKC is the deepest team in the league. This is the deepest that they've ever been. This is the healthiest they've ever been. That starting lineup has only played, this will be, I think, their 8th game together all season long. This is the first time in forever they've had the entire rotation. And it's not just about having all of their guys available. Jalen Williams, coming off that offseason wrist surgery, hadn't shot the ball well. He's had the hamstrings. The wrist hasn't been right. He said this is the best his wrist has felt. He said that wrist is 100%. If they've got the All-NBA version of J-Dub back, watch out.
Also, just adding in on Shea, I know people talk a lot about him as being a foul baiter and whatnot, but to be a guard shooting 55%, that's something that Jokic would do. He's around the paint a lot. He's able to get a lot, use his size. For a guard to shoot 55% and for him to continue to grow, which we're not talking as much about his development year in, year out, his assists, his playmaking, his assist-turnover ratio, taking care of the ball, all those things are going up. And you don't see MVP caliber players continuing to improve all that often. And so I do think there's something just not taking
it's not just something, it's a lot of something. He's joining Jordan again this year for the 4th consecutive season of averaging 30, shooting over 50%. So you're absolutely right.
And now they have their playoff starting lineup all back together again, as you mentioned. So this is getting scary time maybe for the rest of the league. Okay, so in the West, though, the race for that 3 through 6, it's heating up. And we got a big one tonight in Minnesota, the Rockets and the Timberwolves. Minnesota is a half game ahead of Houston for that 5th spot. But the Rockets, they can clinch the head-to-head tiebreaker if they are able to get the win tonight. But the thing is, they've been 5-5 in their last 10 games. And we've talked a lot about what they need to do to find that consistency here. What do you see as being the key to that here, Jeremy?
I mean, you know more than I do, but with the Rockets and with KD, I feel like for them to be successful, they really need that second and third option to be playing really well. When he was in OKC or when he was with the Warriors, I felt like to have that second, third really playing well. So to me, Sengun is just somebody that is a huge key to this team. And when he's scoring 20-plus, they're 22-8. And so for me, it really comes down to him getting the support around him in the playmaking.
I'm going to just keep it real. The Rockets don't have coaching.
But do they have time? Like, I wonder if they have the time to find the consistency that they need in order to be able to win a playoff series.
Think about this for a second, y'all. Tim, think about this. Ime Udoka has called this team out how many times? Now, Kevin Durant addressed the comment that I said on Countdown last week when I called and said they act like they don't like one another. He went and addressed it. I know you watching, and I hope you're watching this. They need a leader in the locker room. They need somebody that's going to come in, be that guy, that glue guy. Yes, Fred VanVleet is the voice, but he's not playing. You need somebody on the floor. And then, obviously, we could point at Şengün. He needs to elevate his level of play defensively. Like, that has to get better. So, again, when you talk about checking the boxes, Ime Udoka is trying to find a way to balance, because when he has Reed Sheppard on the floor, they struggle defensively, but they're better offensively.
And listen, he's giving Reed Sheppard a test run as a starter here. And for the first couple games that they put Reed Sheppard in the starting lineup, it paid off on the offensive end, especially in that win against the Heat where KD's in the corner. He doesn't have the ball at the top of the offense. He hits a couple corner threes, including passing Michael Jordan. The downside bit him in Chicago when that bullseye on Reed Sheppard on the defensive end. They attacked that down the stretch.
The question just becomes, you're 70 games into the season and you're still talking about finding something. How much time is left to be able to do that, to achieve their goals? That's what we're going to be talking about. Diana Taurasi, one of the most accomplished players in women's basketball history, period. She has 3 college titles at UConn. She won 3 WNBA championships with the Mercury, and 6 gold medals playing for Team USA. You can't even count that on one hand. And on top of all of that, she is the WNBA's all-time leading scorer. And she joins us now, the woman herself, Diana Taurasi. Welcome to NBA Today.
Thanks for having me, Malika.
It's
always a joy.
Excited to chat with you. It truly is a joy, but we're in the thick of it, DT. We got college hoops, we have WNBA, collective bargaining agreements, so let's just dive right in if we could, because the Players Association, they've agreed on a new CBA, and this is a monumental moment for the sport. You played a huge role in getting to this point. You played for 20 years in the league, so what does it mean for you to sit back and see this landmark deal come together?
I mean, it's really incredible. And when you think about the years, I think we've talked about this a lot. This fighting's been going on for so long. I mean, we talk about 30 years of the WNBA being the best, women's basketball league in the world. And this whole time we've just been fighting to be paid like it and to be treated like it. And for a lot of the players that played before me, our generation, this new generation, it's just such a monumental moment, pushing forward, and we're not done yet, so it's definitely sweet.
I love that. We're not done yet. You say 30 years of the league, and you played in a cool 20 of them. I mean, that's a staggering number. And in the NBA, we talk about, of course, LeBron James. He continues to play at a high level. He's 41 years old. But you played until you were 42, and you were still averaging 15 points in your final season. What's the process like? I'm curious. Knowing on the one hand, you know what, I can play at a high level, but also, okay, is it time to walk away from something that's defined me for so very long?
It's a fine line. And I think as you get later into your career, I think you dig in even more. You get more obsessed with the work. And I mean, you see someone like LeBron now when he shows up to the gym 5 hours early and he's lifting at halftime. I mean, you just become very obsessed with being on the court because, the end is near. That's just reality. It always catches up to you, and you're trying to squeeze all that greatness out of you until the very last breath. But for LeBron, I mean, he's playing at a great level. And also you have to evolve mentally, physically, where you're at in your career, what the team needs, because everything moves forward, and you have to too.
Yeah, I said this to you when you were on our show, just ahead of whether or not you were going to retire. I'm not going to be the person to say, hey, it's time. So as long as you, any of these all-time greats want to give us that, I am here for it. But a player at their beginning of their career here is Caitlin Clark, and she decided to wear number 12 for Team USA, which is the same number as yourself. Well, what do you think of that? She selected the same number as you, and you had so much international success.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, what Caitlin's done in her short, amazing career has been just nothing but remarkable. And to see her wear that USA jersey, to be on the court in the qualifiers, I mean, she's the future of USA basketball in so many ways. And to wear the 12, it's a great history. No one will wear it better. And there's going to be more gold medals on that jersey for sure.
I love that. The 12 is in good hands. But Caitlin's one of several women's basketball stars right now. We have this picture of you, I think, of Sue Bird, Maya Moore, and then behind you, Paige Beckers, Sarah Strong. There it is. And then AZ Fudd. When you look at this photo, I mean, what's your reaction? We have legends and legends in the making.
As you can see, I think we're up 40. So we were
as you always are.
You know what's great about these 3 kids? That they're just the best teammates, and they want to win. You know, they sacrificed a lot. When you go to Connecticut, I think people think it's easy because, you know, you hopefully win some championships and, you know, you get all the accolades, but you have to sacrifice so much of yourself when you go to a school like Connecticut. You know, think about Sarah Strong. She was on a team with AZ and Paige, and she was probably the best player in the country. And she was willing to sacrifice. And those three just have such a tremendous future, not only the WNBA and international basketball. And, you know, the way they've capitalized on NIL for the last 3 or 4 years, I mean, they've set the blueprint of what it is to be a college, you know, student athlete, of course.
All right, I want to bring all of this to a close because I know you got a lot to get to in your day. Bringing your two worlds together here. You're here on behalf of Greenie's Dental Treats, which are you're the face of their campaign, and we got UConn's women's basketball. So with that, bringing these two together, go with me here. Give me your top 3 dogs in the history of the program at UConn.
Oh, top 3 dogs. I like that. I'm going to say Swing Cash.
Okay.
Probably was the top dog, the way she played. She was relentless on the boards, the way she ran the court. Jen Rosati,
good one.
To me, was the ultimate Husky with the knee pads. And my third dog is going to be... I'm going to go with... That's tough, but I like it. I'm going to go with Maya Moore.
I was like, Maya Moore's got to be in there. Is she going to do herself, Maya?
You know, I was going with, like, dog-like mentality.
Yep. I love that. Dog-like mentality is good one. Yeah, and Maya is leading the pack, if you will. DT, we appreciate the time, as always. Thank you so much.
It's funny because people think... Absolutely. Have a good one.
You're like...